doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly, the first show of 2019. What's up, Glenn?
Happy same old New Year.
Really is same old. We started the first show of the new year off with technical difficulty. That's why we're about 3 minutes late from our regular 12-minute late thing. The Skype just decided, I'm not working just before the show.
Gee, that's never happened before.
No. Just every few times.
Well, we must be live because the tweet went up.
Oh, I don't have to tweet it anymore. That's what I always forget.
That's right.
Less work for me. I could be a billionaire now. So, yeah. You resumed The View Appears for 2019. What's coming up next week?
Well, in the Canadian government, there's just been a top-level resignation. So that's going to cause some issues. There's going to be a cabinet shuffle on Monday. So that'll probably be my show next week.
When you say cabinet shuffle, you're not talking about a dance, are you?
No. Well, okay. In a manner of speaking, yeah, but, since there's an election this fall, I'm sure this is the last shakeup like this for people that get seen that they want, They want a solid lineup as we get closer to the election.
Yeah. I'm a little behind on everything just from kind of like illness or whatever, so I'm back starting. We got videos coming out that are halfway edited. So as soon as they're done, I'll start dropping them. There's 3 I'm working on consecutively right now. Music to Riot to. The next one's called Rage Against the Enemy. That was supposed to be out last week. It'll be coming out real soon. Turns out that's going to be a 2-parter just because Public Enemy and Rage Against the Machine and related groups to them have so much music. It's like it might even be a 3-parter, but I'm not going to do them back to back. I'll do them every so often. But if you don't hear the songs that you thought there should be on a Public Enemy and Rage Against the Machine mix, it's because I'm saving others. I'm not just going to throw all the hits on the first mix. I want to play some nice B-side songs and songs people don't hear all the time on the radio too. So that should be cool. What's up?
Yeah, I can see those 2 bands being more than a 1-parter for sure.
Yeah, it's nice. And, I don't even know how many speeches I really need to mix into this because the music's pretty revolutionary to begin with,
Right on.
But I also have my non-objective opinion. I'm trying to do this scheduling. It's about, it's just about homelessness and how we could help people. I got a really good guest coming on. It does a whole lot of work out here in LA helping people. So I'm just trying to schedule that, and then hopefully that'll be coming out around next week. We'll just do it live or something. That's what I'm hoping. Like I said, we haven't scheduled yet. We're just talking about it. So as soon as we schedule it, we'll do it, and that'll be ready to go. Anything else before we start the topics, Glenn?
I don't think anything that would apply here. I mean, I'm not gonna ask this audience to send me some tips for a new place to live where I live. So I don't think that's gonna help.
Do you mean tips well, I think you should live over here because it's cool? Do you mean tips like money?
No, I mean tips like places for rent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've had enough of this fucking place, and I may have found one already, so that's good.
Is this by choice, or is this something like just screwing you over somehow?
No, it's by choice.
Okay.
The building I'm in is slowly falling apart, and they don't want to talk about it. So I can take my money somewhere else.
So in 2 weeks, the view up here is going to be about Canadian slumlords.
Well, definitely not before I have a new lease signed somewhere else.
Yeah. I found out. I think either Candace Owens or Kanye West listens to our show along with the Pope.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm guessing because I put a poll up, and it was like, who should black people vote for? Should they vote for the Republicans who call people N-words? Should they vote for the Democrats who call people predators, or screw them both, none of the above? And it was pretty much 100% none of the above. And then somebody came in and voted Republicans N-words. So I'm thinking there's only two people on earth who would do that, and that's either Candace Owens or Kanye West. So whichever one of you did that, that's not cool. But other than that, what?
I put my money on Ye, who did it.
His choice was not to be a slave that day and to go ahead and take my poll, right?
Well, that's his one independent thought for the 24 hours that Kim lets him have.
Yeah. I'm looking. Someone prescient is in the chat room. Hello, how are you? Draw the candidates by not. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read. It's really small. By lot, in my honest opinion. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, that's a good idea, but it's completely impossible with the way the system is, I mean, we've talked about it I don't know how many times. Doesn't matter what the ballot is, whether it's for your local school board, whether it's for your city council, whether it's your state reps, whether it's your congressman, nobody gets their name on the ballot unless, they've been approved.
I get it. I'm so slow today. Ha 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 ha! Like pull lots for the candidate. Got you. Man, I'm slow today. I need to sleep.
Well, it's a good idea, but the system won't allow it.
Yeah, but you get the same thing. Like I'm kind of in agreement. Like, why not just do that? Why bother to go out and vote for some scum? Let them just pick the scum, roll a dice or something. Yeah.
Actual rolling of dice, not the literal rolling of dice like we have now.
No, I mean, actually, have like the Democrats and Republicans all see whoever get the highest 1 out of 3 or something, or 3 out of 5.
This sounds like a fucking number one reality show.
Number one reality show.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We've got all 5 candidates for council position 4. Let's spin the wheel.
We need Michael buffering on this. Let's get ready to roll.
Or his brother would actually be better, the UFC guy, for this.
I didn't know he had a brother.
It's time!
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He's hilarious.
I've never seen UFC, so I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's his brother.
Oh, wow. Brother Buffer.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like some kind of gay Roman Catholic thing, Brother Buffer.
Hey, remember when our number one listener is the Pope. So, yeah, let's get started on the... we went right onto a tangent, didn't we?
Well, it's a new year.
Yeah, New Year's, new tangents. So, yeah, for the past... Oh, let me just read it instead of trying to explain it. We've been filming gung-ho cops who seem to be very, very excited in full military combat armor with machine guns and even tanks in the streets quite a few times in the past couple of months. The militarization of the U.S. police seems to be getting worse by the day. What can citizens do to stop this madness? If you were a U.S. citizen, Glenn, what would you think?
Well, I mean, I have the same internet everybody else does. I can see a lot of it. I just don't see it IRL. Although even up here, I think in my city, so far this year, there's been 4 homicides, and the cops have killed 2 of them. So it's a busy start,
So
but
50% of
what,
the murders that go on where you live are done by police.
yeah, so far.
Wow, that's worse than here.
And it's the same old thing. You see the news footage from down the block zoomed in, and they got their assault rifles out, and hot, 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 hot. Same old shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about that down the block stuff. That's what they do. I was out there
Yeah,
filming. Man, all the media, they put them where they want them. They'll let them come and
yeah.
take pictures where they won't let me go, but I go wherever I want. And then by the end of the day, they was threatening if I was seen on the street anywhere, they were gonna arrest me.
Well,
So
see, you don't have an editor that they can call who will get your shit pulled. That's the difference.
yeah, I don't know because it shouldn't matter. Like,
Well,
but what does matter is they know the other media is gonna make them look good no matter what they do.
yep.
And here's the thing, man. They were so excited. They had this car. You might want to check out, anyone in LA might want to really check out the live streams of that. I'm gonna go ahead and post a picture too. I forgot to do that. I got a nice picture of a undercover car with the plates and the stickers they got on the back. So if you see that car around LA, be skeptical. It's a sheriff. But anyway, this one car was just going around. They were laughing. They were smiling. They were taking pictures. They were just so excited to see this military presence in the street, man. I mean, it was crazy. Like you could see the cops' excitement. And I've seen that before. I've commented on it before. Like at another one, this cop I believe to be on steroids because every time I film him, he's insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had this gun in his hand. He's just jolting his leg up and down, like, come on, come on, come on, let me in there, let me in there. Like he just wanted to go in and shoot somebody. They love this stuff, man. These people are sick. They came out with a tank. They're all smiling. They're taking pictures. Like this is so dangerous that everyone's life is in danger. It's a bomb threat, quote unquote. Um, yeah, everyone's just standing around, leaning on the car with the one or two guys always had the guns aimed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're just having a blast. Like, oh, we're playing soldier today in the streets of LA. This is so fun. But then, the other thing about that is when I read the actual mainstream media article about this, supposedly it was some cops went to a door of a motel to do a welfare check. Somebody shot at them. There was a 4-hour standoff, and they called the SWAT team, which is about when I got there, when the SWAT team was getting there a few minutes before. So, um, I don't know why they needed bomb squads and tanks and little batarams and all this. Since when can't police deal with one person with a gun by themselves? Why do they need to call in the SWAT team? Why do they need to call in the bomb squads and all? It just seemed ridiculous, man. So either the reporting was wrong, or they didn't report the story. They didn't report the story accurately, or the cops just lied. You know what I mean? Something just doesn't jive here. How much taxpayer
Well,
money do we need for one guy with a gun? We need to send a whole military force out.
I mean that's the state that it's gotten to, and even up here, every year the police department has to go before budget and give their number and plead for that amount. I think this year, well, this is a city of 1 million, and the police got $17 million less than they wanted in their budget. So, budgets can never go down. So when there's money hanging around, I mean, I saw a lot of the video you took from that motel. When was that? Was that last year or this year?
It was last year, about 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Okay. Well, if it was still in 2018, there might be some cash. We got to burn some overtime. Okay, let's everybody roll. Everybody fucking go.
You know what? I'm thinking it might have been this year. I'm going to look right now. I'm sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
But,
Because I filmed so many. I remember I'm thinking I'll find out right now when it was.
But even if it was, it doesn't mean that their budget is the calendar year. You know, it could be till March
Yeah, it was four
or
days
what.
ago. Sorry, it was this year.
Okay. But I mean, they could still be in what they call a 2018 budget.
Yeah.
And, I think
Well,
everybody,
I think
everybody has a story about their own police burning up money just to get rid of it.
that's ridiculous, and we got people that need that money and living on the streets here. But the thing was, or is, pretty much in LAPD, what I've seen as far, from watching these meetings on live streams and stuff, they just stamp whatever they ask for. It's like no problem, boom. We
Yeah.
love the police. We'll give them anything they want. Stamp it down, get your money, go buy your tanks and war gear, and wreak mayhem on the citizens.
Well, I got a short tangent. It was a day, I think it was earlier this week, where there was a trend on Twitter, support law enforcement day or some bullshit related to that.
Every year they have that garbage, yeah.
And just for kicks, I went and looked at the tag, and it was nothing but local TV reporters from all over the country, all saying how much they support the police and blah, 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 blah. And I figured, yeah, oh yeah, and you expect people for you to actually tell them what's going on. These were TV stations in places like Philly, Miami, LA, San Diego, Seattle, Portland, with the shit that's been going on there, DC. Oh, yeah, we support our police. Yeah, I fucking bet you do.
Yeah, there's been, last night a cop got killed, whoop whoop, and about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, another one or two got shot, and I think one died. And these cops are on there crying and, oh, it's so horrible and this and that. These people kill two of us a day, and they expect us to cry and feel bad when something happens to one of them. I mean, this is like, oh, somebody who murders us daily just got murdered. Who cares? That's the way the people. I don't understand why there's this double standard, and then the person
Yeah.
they kill, they'll troll the family. You know what I mean? They'll come
Well,
out in
yeah.
riot gear when you're mad about this or that, when we want to be upset or we want to cry, but it's a whole nother story when even one of them gets killed. It's
Well, just
crazy.
look at the difference when there is a homicide in the press. Especially if it's a person of color, then they get a mugshot or a picture of them in gang colors, signing, fucking tats. But when it's some white lunatic, you get a picture of him in the church choir. You get a picture of him in his graduation robe. It's so manufactured. There are obviously, without them coming out and saying it, there's different value to different lives. Plain and simple. And there shouldn't be.
Yeah. I was trying to type in the chat and hit the mute button at the same time, so it took a second to get back.
But I mean, I watched some of that video you did, and you're right. It's like all these guys with all this gear just fucking standing around.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. There's people walking up and down the street. This is the most dangerous place I could be. These cops want me to not die. I'm risking my life. I'm a fool for being there. And he's grabbing me by my shoulder, dragging me, telling me where I could film from, where I'll be safe. I mean, manhandling me. You can't do anything about it because you get, what happens if you try to fight back. You can just get murdered right there. But here's the thing. There's other people just standing around, walking around, chilling. No problem with any of them. But me, first he's concerned about me, then they're going to arrest me if I'm there anymore. You know what I mean? How come the guy with the camera is the only one you're concerned about? It's always like that, man. It's always like that. There can be a group of 5 children standing in front of the bomb threat zone. They're not gonna say anything, but me with the camera. Oh, sir, you're not safe. You have to move. And then and then they're threatening arrest when I don't want to move. But everyone else can stand there. They do not want cameras on them, man.
Yeah.
And this is just, I got this DJ gear here for and the mixer and stuff for people's radio, and I'm glad I got that. But I got this instead of a drone because I knew the drone laws were going to be changing, in, on the first, and I wanted to see what was going to happen and all this. But now I'm like, I need to get a drone because the last 2 or 3 times they kicked me out the area, I know I can go a block away and shoot up a drone and keep watching them. Worst case, I get a drone taken or confiscated for a while or whatever. But yeah, that's important. We need to find a way to keep cameras on these people because they don't want cameras on them, and that's scary.
Yeah, and that same mentality pops up a lot of places because you're talking about that, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, yeah, well, there are new drone laws in Canada, and they are pretty ridiculous. You need, well, first of all, the federal government has to know who you are and where you are, and you have to take some sort of bullshit course, which will cost you money. And then you get some bullshit little certificate. And every drone has to have, just like an airplane, have a fucking code on it so it can be identified. It's crazy. They went from nothing to complete overkill. So that's going to be interesting. And in my city, it was about a 20-second piece on the local news once about with the cops and their budget. Some council members actually had the balls to ask them, so what about body cams? Oh, they did a pilot 2 years ago, and no, it wasn't cost effective. So we'll do another study in 2 more years. That's just, it's the same result with a completely different bullshit story. They move you because they're protecting you, and they won't get body cams here because it's not cost effective.
They've done studies of body cams, Glenn. I don't know if you know, but at least here in the United States, when police have body cams, the body cams are used more to prosecute people that are being filmed because they're not facing the police. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
they're used more to prosecute people. And it's funny how anytime the cops do something crooked or kill somebody or something, the body cams malfunction. They forgot to turn it on. They 2 cops will fall. Both body cams will fall off simultaneously and end up face down on the ground. It's insane. So a body camera is not going to do a whole lot unless you have something, where it's aimed at them. They need That's why I go out there because you need cameras aimed at them. Nobody has cameras aimed at them. They even park their cars. I've talked about this before on these shows. They park their car diagonal sometimes when they're messing with people walking on the streets or on bikes. So the car camera's facing away from where they're at.
Yeah.
That leaves them open to do whatever they want.
Yeah. But I mean, these are safeguards that are built into these systems for their benefit, right?
Yeah, and people say, well, they have the audio, but here's what the cops have been taught to do. Maybe not officially taught, quote unquote, but their partners, the older cops, teach the younger cops. If the camera's not aimed at them and they want to whoop somebody or do something, all they have to do is start screaming, stop resisting, stop attacking, you know what I mean? And the camera's not aimed. All you got is these cops fighting with someone and all this muffled sound and the cops screaming this constantly over and over and over again.
Yep.
Specifically done for the camera, for court, if anything ever happens. That's why it's done.
Yep.
It's insane. I've seen them do it so many times. Someone's not even resisting. They just start screaming, stop resisting, because there's no camera. And when the audio gets picked up from the car, it's going to seem like the person's fighting back or trying to evade or trying to do something,
Yep.
It's all intentional, and these cops are so crooked.
It's manufacturing cause.
Yeah. But I don't know what to do about it, Glenn, other than film them and try to expose them and try to keep them accountable and let them know that everyone doesn't think you're heroes. Some people, most of us hate you.
Well, I mean, I'm of the opinion that most of the militarization of the United States police forces is Washington, D.C.'s fault. Nobody else. Because it's the Department of National Defense that is liquidating all this hardware to police departments. Police departments will not say no. More weapons? Free? Pfft, send them over. So, I mean, it's been D.C. that's enabled this. you
Yeah.
know? I mean, if they didn't have 30,000 Bradleys sitting around, I mean, the ones that didn't get melted in Iraq, and they want to get rid of them because they can't buy new toys if they got shelves full of old toys. Let's just pass them all off to the cops. Yeah, give them to them. We don't care. Just get them off our fucking books.
Yeah, it's just here's the thing, man. I mean, this was within a month's time. One was last year, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and one was this year, 4 days ago, right? Someone supposedly had a gun and all this stuff was going on. They had all the cops surrounding this block. I was live streaming. Same thing, trying to get me out of the way with my camera. But the cops went in and ripped the door off the place, right? This is a house with a security door. Went into 3 or 4 of these places without a warrant, searched the 3 houses, 3 different people's places, because the landlord told them it was okay. That's not okay. That's illegal. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not the landlord's place when he lives there. And that's just what the cops told me. I don't even know if there was a landlord that said it was okay or anything, right? So this one here is it a motel? Motels don't have security doors or gates or anything. It's just a little cheap door. You could pretty much hit it with your shoulder and knock it in. Why'd they
Yeah.
have to bring this little tank batarang to do it? And all this. I mean, it just seemed like such overkill. Like, they have portable batarangs, man. You just have one cop or two cops, bow, come in the door. They've done it for years. They bring in this whole tank thing. The bomb squad brought it in. Oh, it's like this whole production thing going on. It was ridiculous, man.
Yep.
It was so ridiculous. And then as soon as I don't know what happened, I heard I don't know if it was that thing hitting the door or if they threw some kind of little gas grenade or something, but something popped. And right when I heard the pop, I assumed it was the tank going in the door, right? Busting the door down. That's when that dude snatched me by my shoulder, started saying, "No, you can't film here. Go down the street. Go down the street. Go down the street." But all these other people were cool to be there. The dude with the camera, go down the street. You can't be here. It's for your safety. So yeah, it was ridiculous, man. How much taxpayers' money did that cost to bring that stupid tank and mobile command units, four of those SWAT vehicles, and they're all riding on the back in their military gear, trying to look cool, having fun, smiling. It's ridiculous, man. None of them
And
look
how
nervous. None of them look like their lives were in danger.
and how many different departments were there? So LA County Sheriff, LAPD. Who else
No,
was
no,
there?
no. It was in Culver City, so it's
Oh,
Culver City
okay.
PD, and then L.A. County Sheriff SWAT team, and then the sheriff,
Okay.
because the sheriffs
So
can go through different jurisdictions and stuff. So
so 3 different departments charging time there. Wow. That's hilarious. That reminds me of working in live petrochemical plants. And when something goes down and the rest of the plant is running and all these people have to show up and we have to, like it's not something happens that nobody's ever seen before. It's always the same. It's just in a different place and a different time. So everybody knows what you have to do to fix it. But all these people show up. We got to set up a command. Oh, we got a special channel on the radio now. It's all this bullshit and just eating up money because that's the way the system is. If it's this category of incident, yeah, everybody bring in people, make people foreman all of a sudden. Everybody gets a raise, It's ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. They're getting meaner and they don't care anymore. Like I don't know. It just seems like
They don't have to care.
I'm talking about with the camera thing. They've always been mean, but when you have the camera, they act different. But the last few months, man, they're not doing those little camera games anymore. They're being just obstinate. Like you have usually you could say, "I'm going to call your sergeant. You don't give me your badge number," and then they'll finally give you your badge number, unless they're going to be like a jerk, and then they'll call the sergeant because they have to. And
Yeah.
now someone will be like, "We're not calling anyone," and just drive off, or not give a badge number, or the sergeant will come and be like, "We don't know how to talk to you. We're not giving you anything." But that's that they're required to do that. You know what I mean? They're just it's ridiculous. It's like no accountability whatsoever.
Well, when field level blatantly break rules like that and tell you they're breaking the rules, then that comes from above. They've been told that it's okay.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the one time a sergeant came, the one that's supposed to tell him, "Oh yeah, here's his and his and his. Here's a card." No, he was like, "I'm not talking to you." And he goes, he didn't want to tell me his, and he's like, they're not going to do it either. I'm like, well, aren't you supposed to? He's like, and he's turned around, like, whatever. I don't see you anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, sergeant is still field. So, I mean, it's the lieutenants, it's the captains who are telling these guys.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like that. Yeah. I thought you meant the little grunt pigs supervisor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sergeant's just the top dick on the street as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, because I know the laws, and I know what they can and can't do, and they start doing stuff they can't do. I'm filming. I'm like, I'm filming you breaking the law. Like this one time, these two male cops were searching this woman really. I was like, oh, you need to call a female officer. There's no reason y'all should be searching her like that. Then they got really mad, and then they just let her go. It was like all of a sudden she wasn't a criminal anymore. She wasn't a suspect, nothing. Why did you really pull her over, I wonder,
Yeah,
that's... the camera, and I'm telling them what they can't do by law, and then they get mad and leave and let the suspect go. Cool. Obviously, She wasn't even a suspect. They were just some creepy cops.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've seen that a couple of times where they'll just leave right away when I do that. But then there's other times they don't care. They'll keep doing it. That's why I get all up in, when I see them in someone's car, I'm all up in the windows trying to see what they're doing because I don't trust them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust them. Wait, what's going on in the chat here, Glenn?
But what can citizens do to stop it? Well, I got no idea, man. I mean, do what you're doing. People need to always have their phone ready to film, because like we discussed, all these things that are supposed to pacify the public, that the cops are there's an eye on them. Like you said, park the car facing the wrong way. Oh, the camera went off, They've got all these outs. So
I think we need some mega rich people on our side, to get us some cool little vans and cars and stuff that got cameras all over them and like some weaponry inside, like some
Soros vans.
What? Yeah,
Soros vans.
That's cool. I don't care who gives it to us. Like, we need to patrol the police. Like when they pulling someone over, we watching them. They start to get rough, then we can come with guns and handcuffs and take them down. Like, okay, we'll take you into your homies. We'll do a citizen's arrest by gunpoint. Yeah.
Well, see, now you're getting into Panther territory, and we know how well that went over.
That's where I got that idea from. I mean, but I've evolved it with the cameras, and you know what I mean, and more van and like actual, like they know when these vans are coming, so it's not like, oh, it's just some citizen, let's shoot at them. It's like, oh, this is one of these vans that's going to be messing with us. We got to act right, or they're going to take us to prison forever.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, dumb fucking white settler in Canada, that's exactly why the Panthers were so needed. They did the right fucking thing, and the people were with them because they were of the people. They weren't a class of people dropped in to, quote unquote, keep the law, keep the peace. Fuck that. I mean,
this horrible terrorist, quote unquote, group, like these racists like to call the Panthers.
Yeah.
They were feeding children. They're educating children. They were helping the community out. And they were what? Protecting the community. And if the enemy of the community is the police, then you have to be protected from the police. So be it, right? Doesn't make sense. Anyone could say this is a bad organization.
Just like Move in Philadelphia. Same thing.
Yeah.
You see what happened to them.
Yeah. And it's happening to this day. I mean, look at the Ferguson activists that turned up dead and missing. Look at the people that get arrested for some BS. Oh, real quick, I heard this is unrelated. It's about anyone who was concerned about Jeremy White, who was arrested for writing on a sidewalk with chalk. They dropped it from a felony to a misdemeanor, which is still ridiculous. But I've been told that since Occupy LA, they've arrested a lot of people for chalk, and there's been no convictions. So if that's the case, which I believe it to be, then he should be okay. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Jeremy White. I'd seen him. I filmed him at the last protest and that we were at in Hollywood. He was there, and he seemed to be a little stressed out, obviously, because they were trying to get him with a felony at first. But he was all right and in good spirits, and he was with the people as he always is. So just that. Sorry, that just came to me and I forgot. That's something we had talked about, and I know some people don't know what was going on. So he's been out of jail, and he now has been reduced to a misdemeanor. So I think they'll do is carry it out in court as long as possible, and then just drop charges. That's what they did to me when I filmed some police and got arrested and all this crap and beaten and everything else. That's another story for another day. Want to move on to number 2, Glenn, or do we got anything else about these militarized piggies?
well, just about what you just said. I'm thinking, yeah, all the clerk time in the county courts, all the people who had to get paper inbox, outbox for something that goes nowhere and is bullshit to begin with. So how much money is spent on all these investigations that go absolutely nowhere, and everybody knows it?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of them aren't about the money. And it's not
Well,
even about the investigation. It's about breaking somebody, scaring somebody. The more people they can terrorize, where they be like, I don't want to go and protest in the streets. I know it's horrible what's going on, but no, I'm scared. You know what I mean? I don't
no,
want to go through this again. I don't want it. That's what they're trying to do, or just you know take somebody's money. Just hurt them any way they can, because these are the people that are standing up for the victims of police brutality. You know what I mean?
yeah, but
And
in full-on fascist environments, like if we're talking Sisi's Egypt or in Pakistan or someplace like that, the power just does that anyway. There's no court, there's no anything. That's what
yeah,
makes America's fascism so unique. It's really about the money. It doesn't matter how ugly it is. Are the right people making money? And just all those employees through the system that are processing garbage over and over and over. It's just all part of the machine to make the money move. That's the part that's so ridiculous to me.
yeah, that's true. The prescient one says if it weren't for the massive waste and fraud, we'd make no profit at all. That's true.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Um, yeah, that's a fact.
Ask Halliburton. Okay,
Let's make a
that's too
movie
far
about
off.
Cheney. Yeah, yeah. Let's not even get into that.
No, we'll be fucked.
Oh man, I miss Nolan when I didn't have tangents.
No, go
Get
to
get
number
well quick,
2.
Nolan. Number 2, everyone seems to be upset about Trump's government shutdown. People will begin to miss paychecks. People will lose government funding, and some even their food stamps. Will this be a turning point that affects people enough to personally in their own backyards to make citizens finally realize that government is not here for them or their best interests? Will more people finally go out in the streets to protest? And if the government shutdown goes on long enough, could it possibly lead to an actual revolution? I don't think it's going to go on long enough. This is like a theoretical kind of thing. But I am hoping that some of these feds and these prison workers and stuff at least are realizing like our government doesn't care about us. You know what I mean? Trump's doing this for what? For a wall that's going to do nothing? I mean, how many
He's
walls historically that governments have put up have ended well?
well, he's just doing it because of his feels. There is no logic or reason to it at all. But I mean, there's a lot of things going on here that don't get talked about, I think, because the first people you heard about phoning in sick and not showing up was the TSA. Hundreds of TSA agents not showing up for work. Well, if things are so dangerous, how come nothing's happened?
Okay,
Nobody's.
first of all, the TSA agents aren't on the southern border where all the terrorists come from, right? I couldn't even say that without laughing. Oh man, yeah, no, I thought that exact same thing. I thought like he's so worried about security and keeping these dark people away, and now
Yeah,
he's shutting down government agencies that are there to actually do that where things come from. Although I don't think we need a TSA or any of that, but I mean, you know what I mean? But technically that's what they're supposed to be there since 9/11 and the terrorists.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it doesn't matter if there are going to be people that get pissed off enough to come out in the street, because all you have to do is piss off the wrong crowd. Now, there are probably tens of thousands of Americans who have a full-time job, and then they spend probably 20 to 30 hours a week either in their county GOP or whatever, volunteering their time to push that orange fucking fraud. So if all of a sudden those people disappear or cut their time in half, that's a much bigger threat to Trump than having protests on the streets. If these people suddenly quit believing in him and doing the work for him, he's all on his own, and it's over real fast.
Yeah, I mean, because I guess a lot of federal workers probably would support him depending on their jobs.
Yeah, but I
I mean,
mean,
there's
like,
federal workers that are just like people doing their hours, pushing papers through and doing stuff
but
for whatever program they're working at. But there's a lot of people that are really bad people that are federal workers as well.
oh yeah, but I mean, you don't shit where you eat. This is asking for trouble on such a huge level. The last thing you want to do is piss off your volunteers. That is political fucking suicide. Don't ever do it. That's how parties end up in the wilderness for 20 years without getting back into power. They pissed everybody off, including their own people.
I heard soon Secret Service won't be getting paid. Now I know they made a lot of money and it won't, matter for a few months anyway, at least for most of them. Because I mean, depending on how lavish they're living. But I just thought it'd be funny if it goes on long enough. Some disgruntled Secret Service dude just starts shooting up stuff, including like politicians that they work for,
Or
like going
how'd
postal,
you like
quote unquote.
how'd you like to see a guy in a man in black suit and the dark shades and the earpiece standing on the edge of the stage holding up a sign that says reopen the government or where's my paycheck? See, that'll just never happen, but it
We'll work
should.
for a whopper.
A tremendous whopper.
Yeah.
I just think this is the dumbest thing he's done yet. And
That's saying a lot, Glenn.
I mean, he could have got away with this stunt for 4 days and then just stepped out of the way and let the actual people who know how government works take over. Because it's obvious now, especially, the Republican Senate will be fine without dealing with this wall for a while. Because they're looking towards the next election already. And they just turn this shit down. We don't need this right now.
Yeah, the chat, good things are coming up on here. I was going to bring something similar up. It says 80%, maybe more, can't go a month without getting paid. Yeah, in the United States, I think it's 80 percentile number of people that can't, if they had $1,000 medical emergency or something for $1,000, they wouldn't be able to afford it, and it would start to, it would really, really, be over with. But then there's I think it's 50 or it's a lower percentage, but it's still pretty high of people that if it was a $500 one, they wouldn't be able to deal with it. It would be devastating. You know what I mean? And you got to look at stuff like what about a government worker if this thing keeps going, and then what if they worked and they were in the fires or something or some national, they're still trying to rebuild their lives from that, still trying to work. Now they're not getting paid. Yeah, that's enough to make somebody snap, and that's also enough to make somebody homeless. You know what I mean? It's
Well, absolutely. But I mean, that doesn't have any effect on Trump, so it's not important. I mean, yeah, what Prescient is saying in the chat is absolutely true. And I mean, even talk about people who have what you think are good jobs, making 80, 100, 125 a year. Well, what's their mortgage payment? How many kids have they got? How much money have they blown going to fucking Disneyland and buying a motorhome?
cars,
And,
yeah, boats.
and do they have kids in college? Private college? These
Exactly.
money, you need cash flow. Everybody needs cash flow, except the assholes who shouldn't have money anyway. But,
And a lot of times, the more somebody makes, the more their bills are, the more they're spending. So it kind of
that's
evens
right.
out as well.
That's another great American phenomenon. How much credit do you want? There's a way for you to get it. And that's business as usual,
Yep.
I mean, I'm old enough where I remember where they used to have something called layaway in department stores.
Yep.
Because we don't hand out credit. We don't know you. But if you want to buy this and you don't have the money right now, well, give us this much of it and we'll take it off the shelves and put it in the back. When you've paid for it, we'll give it to you. Credit wasn't given away. And guess what? We never used to have huge market swings and crashes. But, that's just coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, very few places have layaway anymore.
Yeah, because why? Give people credit so they'll spend a hell of a lot more. It's guaranteed. Plus, we make money off them on the interest.
Yeah, layaway didn't have interest. It was just pay the thing off and take it home.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is way better because we create worse addicts to money they don't have, and we get to profit off them.
And they get the product that second instead of waiting a month or two or whatever.
Well,
No, I'm just saying that's their gimmick to do it. That's how they pull it off. Like, oh, you need it now.
Yep.
We need everything right now. Everything right now, right now, right now.
Yep.
It's pretty screwed up there, Glenn. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was just like another fantasy. Like people get so mad to be out in the streets. Pretty soon the military won't be getting paid, and the cops, and they'll have to not fight us. And then what's going to happen? It's going to be a bunch of old rich white dudes and white people and some non-white people that are in Congress and Senate, and you know what I mean. All these, and they're going to get raided, and we're going to surround them, and then we'll beat them to death, and then live our own lives and run our own lives. And yay, fantasy, right?
And call the dozen Canadians, and we'll come down and we'll burn the White House out.
Or just paint it black and let people live in it. Call it the Black House from then on. George Clinton made a song, "Paint the White House Black." We'll roll with that.
That'll work.
Yeah, why not? Or just paint it some crazy color. The Fuchsia House.
But I mean, it's just so beyond logic in the U.S. right now because, first of all, the president is this tremendous deal maker. So just think about it for a minute. You have a business, a corporation, and your expenditures are increasing at a rate that is 10 times your revenue is increasing. So what's something that's really good for business? Well, let's try and bankrupt a huge portion of our workforce and all the other people that depend on them, they don't get services either. Yeah, that's a good way to promote your brand. Like, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I agree.
I saw somebody tweet, I'm sure it was somebody famous in the U.S. on Twitter, And they said, yeah, well, Trump is going to run the government like one of his businesses. Just lie, rip everybody off, and then run.
I don't know. I know this whole banging for the wall thing is a distraction too from all the stuff going on with the investigation and all
Mm-hmm.
Trump's other screw ups and the people getting arrested and Paul Manafort, all the new stuff they found out.
Yep.
But at the same time, I've always almost wondered if he's going to give the contract to somebody he knows, like some dude that owns a business that he knows, and then he's going to get some kind of kickback for the Trump thing. He's too much into this, man.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a possibility because, they tried that already in Puerto Rico and they got caught.
That electric company, right? That had
Yeah.
two employees.
Yeah, that Zinke knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got caught. That got shut down. And that's, one of the big reasons Zinke's gone. But
I've always thought that, like, he's got to be profiting somehow off this wall thing or he wouldn't even care.
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, it's a huge distraction. And, of course, the press runs with it because revenue is revenue, clicks are clicks.
Because Trump could be like, I hate dark people around me. That's why I got security at my hotels and I have these Secret Service and they'll never get to me. And he's so selfish, he doesn't care about anybody else. You know what I mean? So I don't think that matters. I think what matters is how he benefits from this wall. Now, I know a lot of his little Nazi base will be like, well, he did it. Promises made, promises kept, hee-haw. But I think the reality of it, he's getting something financial, some kind of gain like that from this wall. There's no other. He's just such a sleazy person. It just seems so logical to me that that's what he'd be doing.
Well, this was in one of the segments I had last Wednesday, and I can't remember who, but it was a Republican strategist and a lobbyist. And he's about the only one I've heard say that, at this point, it's not even about the wall. It's about him getting out of this without looking like a complete idiot. That's all it's about now. And
but no matter what he does, he looks like a complete idiot. He's not intelligent. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, there was a point when the Democrats offered him over $7 billion for the wall, and he turned it down.
And now he wants $5. That's a great businessman right there, right?
Exactly. Then they came back with the 5 point something, and they said, where the fuck were you? We offered you 7, and now you want 5 and all this bullshit? No, it's not happening. Well, then I'm going to shut down the government. Well, then you fucking go ahead. Wear it.
You know me, I think both sides are a joke. So.
Well, I know they are. But imagine how much Paul Ryan is laughing now. That son of a bitch. You're right?
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of Dodge just in time, or what?
Yeah, and he got so much before he left. They gave all his buddies this huge tax cut, and then he's not even getting reelected, so he could do. He's not going up for reelection, so he could do anything he wanted, any evil thing, and it won't even affect him, man.
Fucking Eddie Munster.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's ridiculous. You want to move on to number 3?
Sure.
You have anything? Okay. People are saying the blatant... wait. You know what? This one right here, we're actually saying Trump isn't the problem here, or isn't the main problem. So that's good. We're talking good about Trump for once. People are saying that blatant racism in the United States is becoming a problem because of Trump. This is not true. Racism has been a problem in the United States since its inception. Why are some people pretending that this country was not a racist-infested shithole long before Trump was even born? Why are they pretending, Glenn? Why?
Well, I don't even think that's the issue, because to think back that far would leave 3/4 of the American population with glass eyes. I think most of it has been people talking about the Kennedy-Johnson era This is a Democratic program to put everything on Trump. They say, well, look what the Democrats did in the 60s, and now Trump has wrecked it all. That's what they're trying to play. And of course, it's not true. Look at what Clinton did. I mean, give me a fucking break. But that's what they're trying to play. But I mean, Trump has emboldened racism. He's not a grand dragon that can lead. He's just a mouthpiece on a real shit AM station. That's all he is. He's giving indirect consent to the racists that it's not so bad to be racist. Everything, all that shit you hear about equal rights and blah, blah, blah. No, that's bullshit. You don't have to pay attention to that. That's all. Because when somebody gets to the top office in the quote unquote top democracy on the earth, and he is such a blatant racist, it sends a message to the dullards that it can't be all that bad.
Kind of like Orwell.
Yeah.
We're all equal, but the whites are more equal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Pretty much. And have you noticed how they're really, really trying to not say anything that goes away from white equals money? You know, there are billionaires all over the world, all different races, all different religions. But the only ones you ever hear about in the United States are white. That's it.
I don't like any of them. I think that it should be illegal to be a billionaire.
Well, see, I am for equality, and yeah, billionaires are a group unto themselves, and they should be dealt with.
That's the next subject topic. Are you trying to move us on?
No. But I mean, yeah, you know.
Just real quick, though, I mean, since this country was founded on racism and horrible genocide, and then it was built on another horrible racism and a genocide, both of which are going on to this day. Just evolve, just don't look as horrible as they actually are or were. You know what I mean? And they're like, this guy Trump, I see it all the time on Twitter. This is not the country I know. Trump has turned my country racist. Trump is making everything. How can you say that? Where have you been living?
Well,
when
I mean,
Obama was president, cops were gunning black people down in the streets.
Yeah.
When Bush was president, when Clinton was president, I mean, we can go way back. When Reagan was president, that's when they started doing all this war on drugs, crazy, you know, on a huge scale. And then Bush, and then, and it just, they don't do, they're not doing that in white neighborhoods. We know Beverly Hills and Bel Air and all these rich neighborhoods across the whole country have crazy amounts of drugs. You know what I mean? These people do wild drugs. But we don't have SWAT teams kicking in their doors and tanks in their streets and cops pulling them over because they're driving an expensive car or any of that. None of that. But it's so, you know, let's go to the black neighborhood, let's go to the Latino neighborhoods and terrorize these people.
No, I think that demonstrates a long-term program. You know, these, I don't know, I hate to use this term, but I will. These SJWs who are insisting that the U.S. is racist, all that demonstrates is the racism has gone above the level that I have been taught to accept as how things are. That's what it translates
that's
to.
the wrong way to be thinking, though.
But that is the way it translates.
Yeah, but it's still, that's probably what it is, but that shouldn't be that way.
You know, I mean, I have met a couple Americans in Canada who insist that racism in Canada is the same as racism in the U.S. And I say, where do you live? And it's usually somewhere around the Great Lakes or the northern states. And they seriously think that there is no racism in northern cities. I'm like, holy fuck. You must watch a lot of U.S. news.
I have a buddy that he's a musician. He tours all over, and he commented on Canada. He's in a black jazz group, mainly black people. So they were all in Canada, and he was like, it was kind of cool. He said, it was a weird experience. He said, because the police rolled by and everybody tensed up. And then one of the people there had traveled a lot, and he's like, what are y'all worried about? He's like, the police, you know what I mean? We just want to get messed with because we're just sitting here. I mean, they were professional. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were just playing music, doing tour dates.
Yep.
So then he's like, no, this Canada, man. They have a whole different history. He goes, if you're not doing nothing wrong, the police aren't going to probably mess with you at all. He goes, and that was the fact. That was the case. This was a long while ago, but I mean, yeah, he said it was like a whole different feeling when the police rolled by than when you're here. And they roll by and you're like, oh, man, are they going to mess with me or what,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
Well,
I mean, I'm sure...
that does apply.
Couldn't imagine the police saying, oh, we're only here to get people that have done something wrong.
Well, that level does exist in Canada, but it's to Indigenous people.
Oh,
they're the only ones. That's our colonialism. That's our slavery.
Oh, okay. I see. That's messed up then.
See, we had the Underground Railroad into Halifax for slaves to escape the U.S., but as Canada moved west, we did the exact same genocide and slavery as the Americans did. In fact, it was a race,
A race to see who could be the most slave-driving country. Wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, when most of the plains and, that huge middle of the North American continent was still basically open, yeah, it was a race. You bet it was. So... how are they doing so well? Well, they seem to be killing a lot of the Indians. How can we do that? Yeah, that's how it was. So it does exist here, but it's nowhere near as visible. And I mean, we're seeing it in Canada now too. I mean, people are saying the same thing. They're saying that the Conservative Party and Andrew Scheer and Doug Ford and Jason Kenney are bringing all these racists out. See, at least that's a little different. Like, we're not saying that racism is being created because of right-wing politicians. We're saying it's just coming out of the closet. So it's a little different, but it's the same thing. It's
the right-wing politicians are proud racists. The left-wing politicians are closet racists, or some of them don't even know they're racist. They just have racist beliefs. Maybe that's it. That's why we can deal with them a little better sometimes. Because they're not hateful like that. They don't maybe want to be racist. Maybe they don't know they are.
I think the polarization is not as strong in Canada. That's for sure. And it's probably just, more our attitude. Because, we can't escape what happens in the United States. We're going to see it all over our media, no matter what. But we have a disconnect, It doesn't matter. It's still not us. We compare it to what's happening here. We pay attention if we see something we really don't like in the U.S., but we're not the U.S. So we get a certain degree of chill that people can't get in the United States. That's one of the reasons that I don't want to go back to the U.S. ever, because I just see too many things where you can be anywhere at any time minding your own fucking business and somebody kills you. That just doesn't happen in Canada. If it does, it's once every 10 years, not how many a year. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Everything is just cranked up so fucking loud in the U.S. nonstop. It's crazy. Or maybe we're just all slack motherfuckers up here. I don't know.
I think more and more people are getting fed up. You're working more hours and getting less money. Things cost more. People can't
Yep.
afford to live. Rent's high. Buying a house is out of the question for most Americans now.
Well, I
It's
mean,
just
that's another thing here, too. I mean, there is a percentage of Trump's base that look at what's happening with the federal government and they say, yeah, all them fucking civil servants are overpaid anyway. Fuck them. That is out there. And it just shows you how far the division goes and how ridiculous this game is. Because wouldn't you just think that these are working people who can't make their bills all of a sudden because Orange Turd wants to have a fit?
yeah.
But that's how fractured the U.S. society is. And Canada is not there yet.
Although some of them do make, like the cops make way too much money.
Yeah. That's true.
It depends on, I think Congress makes way too much money.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And they're still getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, so it depends what you're talking, but I don't think the average pencil pusher person working in an office, they're probably not making way too much money. Depending on where they're working and what they're doing. The janitor, he's not making he might have some good benefits or something.
Or data entry at FAA or, this is just such a stupid risk. You look at one of those maps with all the commercial airplanes that are in the air over the United States at the same time.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to pay those people. They'll just show up anyway. Holy fuck. That's insane.
Food and Drug Administration has been not able to be at full force now either, so that could be dangerous too. They're the people that test our food and make sure it's not poison going out to the people. Or, disease or whatever.
Yeah, well, to most of Trump's big dollar supporters, they're fine with that.
Better have
Imagine
your own cows and goats and fruits and vegetables and all that growing in your backyard. Chickens and eggs.
I mean, imagine
most of Trump's base has that, even though they we make fun of them like hillbilly rednecks. But yeah, most of them, even if they are, they might not have that. It's a different time. They got grocery stores now.
Oh, they got two male chickens outside the trailer.
Waiting for eggs, but never seem to get them. Huh?
Yeah, that's right. But still, I mean, like I said, you don't shit where you eat. I mean, this is just insane to make this kind of dare when everything is so wound up, it's so polar, so extreme. All it takes is one crazy person, and there could be a huge problem. This is a very ridiculous risk this man is taking.
In Trump's base, there's way more than one crazy person.
But it could be somebody who's the guy at the cubicle next door. He was always quiet, always friendly.
Oh, yeah. The postal kind of crazy person. Yeah, got you.
Okay, now here's a tangent on this. In the series Breaking Bad, there was a time when Jesse was living in a house with a girl, and that girl's father was an air traffic controller in Albuquerque. And she OD'd on heroin, and her father went into work and fucked up and caused a mid-air plane crash. So, I mean, things like this happen. And if you're not going to pay people and they don't want to be there because they got life to deal with, this is how shit like this happens. The risk is ridiculous. And if something, forbid, happened, who would be the last one to say it was my fault? The orange turd.
Oh, yeah.
The orange turd.
That's
It's just
true.
insane. I mean,
Giant truck out here. I don't know what he's doing.
the reality is everybody needs the government to survive. That's the fucking reality. Accept it. You don't have to like it. You can work to destroy it. That's fine. But, like these free citizen dudes and all this, those crazy guys, if you want to run around in a forest, sure, knock yourself out. But if you want any level of life in the Western world in this 21st century, it involves the government every day. So
I think in time you can evolve away from the government thing. And
but not now.
No, it would take a long time, yeah. It's not realistic to just switch it overnight, of course.
Yeah.
But one day you can have all these factories and machines working for us instead of against us. I don't know. I just think there's technology now where people don't really need to be working like they work now. There's machines that could do that work. And we can benefit from it.
Well, the next challenge will be to make people doing it cheaper than machines. And when they can no longer do that, then that's when people will be out.
It's ridiculous. People work their lives away and can't even survive. It's stupid.
Yeah. When I grew up, that was just never supposed to happen. That was just not part of the deal. You may not, that's, when I grew up, that's kind of how it was presented. That's why there are different social classes of people.
Yeah, it's always been part of the deal here.
It's like the people who are the janitors and work housekeeping in hotels and stuff. They work hard, but they make it. They don't get anywhere, but they make it.
Yeah, they can get by at least, maybe.
Yeah. And they didn't have to fucking go in debt to buy food and stuff like that. Yeah, there were people who were deemed to be lesser, but nobody was doomed into something that they're never going to escape. And now it happens to how many income groups?
The bottom 80-something%.
Yeah, exactly. And that never used to be. Nobody accepted it. Nobody thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. I got nothing else on this one. You want to move on, or you got something else?
No, anything further would just be another tangent.
Yeah, I got to address this next one. Yeah, we're about to bash some millionaires and billionaires. In the chat, it says blaming the rich is like blaming the men or the whites or the Russians or the Chinese or the banks or the quote-unquote blacks, it says, or whatever your personal bailiwick is. Good and evil are opinions, perspectives, beliefs, sort of mental, pick your own position. No. See, when the rich people are doing something to oppress other people and they have billion-dollar companies that aren't paying their workers that these people are running and stuff, then you blame the rich for some of the problems. Like when men aren't speaking up when other men are doing stuff, then you could blame the men. When banks are screwing their people, and giving high interest rates and not letting us be able to survive and foreclosing our houses, then you blame the banks. You blame the people responsible for whatever those people did. Because those aren't, banks and corporations, they're not a race of people. They're not, they're institutions. You could blame them when they're crooked and corrupt and screwing people over. So I just really disagree with that. But,
blame is...
politicians.
No, blame is a subjective word, though, too. Just tell me who's responsible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You blame them because they're responsible.
But don't even use the word blame. Just show me responsibility. And then the rest comes naturally.
Oh, is
You
it the
know,
blame that you having an issue with? Is the word? I don't. Okay, I can
uh,
see
but
that.
I'm, but I mean, it's the same old shit, man. Just follow the money.
Well, here's number four. I just wanted to say, yeah. I mean, if Glenn, if I sock you in the face, I'm responsible. I would say you should blame me for socking you in the face. You know what I mean? That's just now Glenn's
But
calling 911 because I threatened him.
reported.
Okay, no. Multimillionaires and billionaires are a super minority of the United States population, but they are a majority of our politicians. Why do U.S. citizens constantly vote for these minorities who wouldn't give them the time of day in any social situation? I mean, look,
Well,
I've asked
the,
this
the
before, but I didn't make it a topic.
well, the easy answer is hate the game, not the player. This is the way the system works. You know, if money helps, let's put it that way. You don't win shit without money. That's part of the way the game has been made, and that's why it's so hard to deviate from the game, because it's like a lot of other things. If you enter, these are the rules. That's it. And there are people that in this day and age make a hell of a lot more money than an elected official. And that's just the way it is. That doesn't mean that politicians' wages should go up. No, everybody else's should come down. But that's a whole nother issue. But as long as, well, I mean, like I've said before, when you have turnout rates that are barely 50%, I mean, I know from seeing firsthand inside political parties, the lower the turnout, the better as far as they're concerned, because then that gives them less that they have to focus on. They're fine with it. They don't care if there's 20% turnout. As long as they got one more vote, that's all that matters. So,
Yeah, but I mean, why do we even let these people run? They,
well,
what
because
would?
that's the way it works.
But I mean, I see these billionaires. I hear about what they do on police commission. When they're on there. I mean, they put them in every section of the government.
Mm-hmm.
Won't they put people that represent the majority of the people in the area? A billionaire does not represent the majority of the people in almost any area, unless you're talking about like Billionaire Island or something. I don't know, but for at least in the United States, I think there's 30 something billionaires in California.
Wow.
Like, so how are they any kind of majority? It
Well,
just
you
doesn't
already.
seem like they should be representing anything. They can represent the billionaires. Don't represent the rest of us because you can't. It's impossible. I mean, look. We got a billionaire president, right? Or a quote unquote
Maybe.
billionaire president. But him to say it's all gonna, these people are getting paid, but they don't want to get paid. They want a wall, and it's all gonna work out. Like he literally, I mean, he literally didn't have to ever do anything. He was born rich, and every
Yep.
time he wasted all the money or lost a business, he was giving it back. His father's like, "Here, let me bail you out of this. Boom. Here's some
Yep.
millions. Here's some extra millions just to go have fun and chill." I mean, yeah, it's you can't. These people can't comprehend what it's like to struggle or to worry where your anything's coming, your next check, or you got laid off from your job. What are you gonna do, or this or that? They can't comprehend any of this stuff. They can't comprehend somebody saying, "I don't know how I'm gonna keep the lights on, or the gas, or the water, or the electricity." You know what I mean, or anything. It's like they can't comprehend that. I don't know how I'm gonna pay rent this month because my job gave me less hours and I'm already not barely making enough. Just suck it up and it'll be okay. That's what they say. It'll all work out. It's gonna work out with this person living in a tent under an overpass. Is that how it's gonna work out? It just they don't see it. They don't grasp the concept. And even the ones who say they do and act a little better sometimes, no, sorry. It should be illegal to be billionaire. I'm gonna keep saying that.
But you're assuming that the people in those positions actually think any of that has anything to do with their job description.
They
Bec-
represent us. We are their constituents, man. I mean, they're supposed to. I don't say they are, but they're supposed to. If you
yeah,
can't
but
relate to somebody, how can you represent someone you can't relate to?
there's a lot of elected people who think that their constituents for their district are simply the people who do what has to be done so I can carry on my work. There's a lot of people like that. And
Yeah, if doing what needs to be done to continue your work is taking people's homes and making people sicker and robbing people and letting people die, then maybe your work
because
doesn't need to be continued.
because that is what they think their work is. Exactly. So, as I said before, when there's 50% or less turnout, then the people who think like that have a lot less scrutiny, a lot less challenges to their position, and it's business as usual. I know it's not easy or fast, but if this is the way the game is, before people actually lose their vote, there needs to be a dramatic increase in people who vote, because they need to understand that it doesn't matter how many backroom deals they do, how much money they stash, how many friends they get good positions. If most of the people show up to vote, honestly, they know whether they're out of a job or not long before that day comes. And that's the only way we're going to see a change. And what we saw with the midterms is a little bit of a generational change in candidates, and it's a change in stereotypes. I mean, for Canada to look at the U.S. in 2018, make such a huge deal about electing a Muslim woman to the House that has, 700 fucking seats? One? Like, Canada goes, yeah, well, yeah. So it's about, the 1980s in Canada? Holy fuck.
Yeah, religion and politics need to be separate anyway. So whatever you are, leave that at home when you come to work for I know none of them do. I know none of
Well,
them do.
the the evangelists certainly don't.
That's what I'm saying. They don't. So but
The Dominionists don't.
hopefully the Muslim lady will do better. Leave her religion at home and come to work for the people. But
Yep.
but here's the thing. I fear we got to wrap it real quick soon because it's after 4. But I fear 2020 is going to come and a Democrat's going to possibly be elected, and then you're going to have wars all the time, military being funded, police murdering 2 or 3 people a day. Basically, what you're going to have is the continuation of what we have now, and it's going to gradually. Some things will decline, some things will increase. Like always, you know what I mean? But everyone's going to be content because you're going to have a nice, maybe smiling person, somebody that claims to care about you but doesn't want you to have health care for free, um, or education or anything like that, but they care. They'll say all the good stuff and I want to fight for you, but they won't do anything. They might give you a little Obamacare kind of thing where the insurance companies can get even richer and, whatever. But it's like everyone's going to be content, and the stuff's still going to be going on the same way it's going on now, just without all the
Manufacture.
hyperbole and the hatred, the proud hatred and the posturing and all that. And they're going to be so relieved it's not this jackass. Back to normal, back to the Obama, and you know what I mean? We can do tragic, terrible stuff all around the world, and the people will say, that's the greatest guy ever to be president.
Manufacturing consent.
See, when I ask people who was the greatest president ever, it's a trick question because the answer is none of the above. No president has ever been great. If they bring up Carter, I'll say, oh, I can't. He's probably the best out of the worst. You know what I mean? As far as being a human.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah, none of them. They're all scum. You have to be scum to be a president. They won't have it any other way. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, the thing is, with this explosion of paper wealth and the explosion of these 0.01 percenters, this isn't about money. This is about ego that get involved in politics. That's it. You know, they want, even within their own crowd, they want to be in a position where that guy needs my signature to make his next $1 billion. You know, that's what it's about to these people. So yeah, they should not be in these offices, but that's what counts, you know, and people used to say one person, one vote. Well, it's starting to get to the point where it's $1, one vote. Yeah. And that's not the same thing.
No. It should be, yeah. Sometimes it's a lot more than $1, one vote.
Well, or even if you want to crank it up to 1 million, one vote.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's because some group of idiots said money can be free speech. I mean, money can be speech too, right? And what that did was that said people who have less money have less speech. People who have more money have more speech. People who have no money, they have no voice.
Yep.
It's and that's exactly how it is now. So if I'm a billionaire, I can get things done, and the government will bow down, bend over backwards for what I'm asking for, me and my billionaire friends. But the homeless guy in the street over there, he can beg for some place to live that's decent, and so he can have dignity and have a life. And nope, we got a trailer for you here in a park, and if you go somewhere else, we're going to torture the crap out of you with our cops, maybe kill you, but definitely fine you with fines you can't pay that will eventually put you in jail, give you warrants.
Dead or prison.
Or jail or prison, yeah, just for living. Because you don't have a voice, so nothing you say matters. These billionaires is the ones with the voice. That's what we answer to.
Yep.
It's ridiculous, man. And it doesn't need to be this way. Beheading billionaires, then it's problem solved. No, but there needs to be something happen. Something has to happen, but it can't happen when you have Democrats and Republicans who both answer to these same billionaires and who both are millionaires. Some are billionaires themselves. You know, they don't want to change that. For what?
Well, I mean, it's just such a complete creation of what people assume because, you know, there's been so much said about who else but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez mentioning, 80% tax rates. Well, there was a time when...
go for that. Most of them Democrats will never go for that.
It's got nothing to do with it. It was only 7 years ago, and the U.S. had a top tax rate that was over 80%.
Oh yeah,
and that was with FDR, Eisenhower, Republican. Top tax rate was 81%,
and that's when messed that up, right?
And that's when the middle class was born in America, with a top tax rate of 81%. So, don't sound like this is just totally foreign insanity when people say stuff like this. Because, it's the same old story. No, it's nuts. Now sports. Because we don't want to talk about it, because the more you talk about it, the less likely the capitalists are going to win. So let's just dismiss it right off the bat, move on. But at least it's being said. In the last 20 years, nobody would have said it.
That's true. But
Talk
yeah,
about a pebble in the fucking ocean, but there you go.
yeah, her homies ain't gonna go for the other Democrats.
No, it doesn't matter. It's been said.
Yeah, my thing.
So
We'll see. We'll see what happens with her as time goes on, as
no,
she
but
moves up the bracket. I think she'll just turn into another Bernie Sanders.
well, what I'm saying is it's just like Trump saying the stuff he does. Somewhere there are people that think that, wow, the president thinks what I think. I'm right. I'm going to fight for him. There are people somewhere who are going to hear her say that and think, yeah, I can say that publicly. That's okay. You know, works the same way. People are people.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, just like I said, the Muslim women, both of them. Ocasio-Cortez, same thing. She's one out of hundreds. Big fucking deal. That's democracy in action. The people in that district, that's who they wanted. Bang. That's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Ain't going to change shit.
That's what I've been saying. I mean, she already backpedaled on so much stuff. That's when I lost respect for her.
Well, because she just wants it to die down. I mean, give her a break, man. It's a new job.
No, I'm saying when she was running, that's when I lost respect for her. She said, abolish ICE, and someone said something. She's like, abolish ICE doesn't mean abolish ICE. It means reform ICE. We don't never want to get rid of all border stuff. It just
Yeah, that's probably because she got analytics that said there was 6,000 ICE employees in her fucking district. I mean, there's always a reason. For votes? For votes, it matters a whole lot.
Whatever. You need to stay. I don't know. I can't.
That's how the game works, man.
I don't like
That's
the
what's
game.
wrong. Well, I don't like the game either.
I'm gonna rewrite the rules.
Okay. I'm down with that.
There you go.
I think that's the final tangent.
Yeah. You know what? You actually started a tangent today, Glenn. That's like 2 now.
Well, somebody's got to pick up the slack. It's a new year. New year, same shit.
Year. What?
New year, same shit.
Yeah. Didn't you send me a text or a DM with that earlier?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Cool. Well, thank you, Glenn, and thank you to the billions of people listening and the Pope and...
Yay.
Yeah, do we decide, is it Kanye West or is it Candace Owens? Whichever one of you made that vote, thank you for listening. Listening might help them wake up a little bit, maybe. Those two need help. The Pope needs help. And thank you, Prescient One, for the chat, joining the chat. That was nice having somebody's input. And we'll see everybody next week. Oh, and there might be my non-objective opinion before this. And also stay tuned for the Music to Riot 2, Rage Against the Enemy. And next Wednesday, The View Up Here, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right, Glenn?
Correct.
Cool. See y'all next week.